This is TOS Television, your digital-first Pan-African news network. In business, Nigerian Port Authority bans BUA from sugar importation in free trade zone. Report shows Nigeria lost 5.5 trillion naira to cybercrime in 10 years. Kenyan women defy odds to venture into honey business. Namibia's mining industry records 14.5% negative growth. You're watching Business Report Africa. I am Ruel Panawo. Kaduna State Women and Youth Livelihood Specialist Ibrahim Yakubu says the Agro-Processing Productivity Enhancement and Livelihood Support Project Appeals in Kaduna State is in the process of opening bank accounts for its trainees. This comes as the World Bank approves 299 agricultural investment plans of 800 trainees who applied individually to the initiative. Appeals project, which covers Kano, Kaduna, Enugu, Lagos, and Cross River, was established to support small and medium-scale farmers in production of 11 selected produce, which includes wheat, rice, cocoa, cashew, ginger, aquaculture, tomato, maize, cassava, poultry, and dairy. The Nigerian Ports Authority has barred the importation of sugar from free trade zones. Before this development, the chairman of Dangote Industries Limited, Aliko Dangote, and his counterpart, Flour Mills of Nigeria, John Komantros, had accused BUA of setting up a sugar refinery in export processing zone in Rivers State, which came as a threat to the National Sugar Master Plan, as well as sustainability of the country's local industry. Although BUA countered the petition, the letter released from Nigerian Port Authority indicates that BUA will be unable to sell this refined sugar from the Port Harcourt refinery in Nigeria. Chief Strategist Officer of Deloitte West Africa, Mr. Tokwe Aladenusi, has disclosed that 5.5 trillion naira has been lost to fraud and cybercrimes in 10 years. He made this known in an online meeting organized by First Bank of Nigeria titled Staying Protected Amidst the Pandemic Chaos. Mr. Harrison Naji, Chief Information Security Officer of First Bank, also noted that the pandemic had an effect in digital access and has become a force in bringing people together, but that the online threats that people are exposed to is also on the rise. Facebook has launched an initiative that points at inspiring stories of leading content creators who have succeeded in various creative industries and then using them to inspire other creative artists and connect with communities. The launch was announced in Nigeria and Ghana. From the statement released by Facebook, the Creators Campaign spotlights 8 creative artists in Nigeria and in Ghana. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta and the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken held virtual bilateral talks early this week to discuss trade and investment opportunities. They were open about the opportunities that lay in the Kenya-U.S. Free Trade Agreement (FTA), as well as the role Kenya is set to play in maintaining peace and security by virtue of its position as a UN Security Council member. Both leaders discussed matters pertaining to health, climate change, refugees, and human rights, while President Kenyatta reaffirmed Kenya's commitment to staying in tune with the United States of America. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television, and you are watching Business Report. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with me. Kenyan women in Baringo County have defied lack of capital, tradition, and even no support from the government to venture into the honey business. Practically, they ignore the risks involved in running a business that relies on the bumps and traffic of the Nakuru-Marigat-Kabarnet Road as they dash from shade to customer. What is most interesting is honey harvesting is taken as a preserve of the male gender. This business venture started about 10 years ago, and initially the woman would sell unprocessed honey for 100 Kenyan shillings a litre. But officials from the Agricultural Sector Development Support Program under the Ministry of Agriculture have trained them on the need for value addition. The woman then formed the group, which is now the leading honey selling group in the country, and they earn more. GA Insurance in Kenya has made reports of 1.2 billion shillings worth of profit after tax in the year to December 2020. This is a marginal decline from the 1.5 billion shillings made by the insurer in 2019. The company, like others, has tried to lessen the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Its gross written premiums increased by 19.6%, in 2020, but this increment was affected by higher operational expenses. Apparently, these expenses, which include agent commissions and claims paid to policyholders, went up from 4.9 billion shillings to 6 billion shillings. Mona Aboud, the head of the Egyptian Commercial Service Office in Amman, has revealed that trade exchange between Jordan and Egypt grew to over $600 million in 2020, in comparison to $567.5 million in 2019. Now, while Jordan's exports to Egypt fell by 4.5% to $120.9 million, from $126 million in 2019, Egypt's exports to Jordan increased by 12.2% year-on-year to $495.4 million. Initially, the growth projections for the local mining industry in Namibia stood at 11.1% in 2020. However, figures released by the Namibia Statistics Agency show that the industry recorded a negative growth rate of 14.5%. Regardless of this, mining was still one of the few sectors that supported the domestic economy in 2020. The president of the Chamber of Mines, Zebra Kasete, noted that growth in the mining sector was negatively impacted, and in total, the industry had a 12% drop in employment. Internet Online Hong Kong IOHK Cardano developer has released a strategic partnership with the Ethiopian government. The plan is to use Cardano-based technology to change the nation's education system for the better. This is expected to be the world's biggest blockchain deployment, and it will be used to create forgery-resistant records of academic performances. It will cut across more than 3,000 schools and thus verify the grades of over 5 million local students. This system will increase transparency in the school grading system and may, in the long run, create more employment opportunities for rural Ethiopians and increase social advancement. This is your Digital First Pan-African News Network, TOS Television, and you're still watching Business Report Africa. Do stay tuned. More than 300,000 children in Libya are in need of food and health care, as Turkish-based Syrian mercenaries remain in Libya regardless of a ceasefire agreement. At the moment, all parties have agreed to cease interference with Libya's NOC, and its production of oil and production has increased, but about 40% of the total population in Libya has fallen into poverty. Water and electricity are being rationed, inflation is beyond control, there is a deterioration in trade, and unemployment is at an all-time high. Nathaniel McGill, Liberia's Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, has revealed that President George Weah will soon announce 2 huge investments that would kickstart massive employment in the private sector of the country. According to him, the deal has been concluded already, and the efforts of the president to reach out for direct foreign investment have yielded results. Economic losses pertaining to the pandemic in Egypt have gone as high as 370 billion Egyptian pounds. Egypt's Finance Minister Mohamed Massid also revealed that the country's deficit for the current fiscal year is about 500 billion Egyptian pounds, and its overall debt is within 83% of GDP. Egypt had created a 6 to 7% target in economic growth within the next 3 years, and the country had already achieved an initial surplus of 2%, which was then thwarted by the effects of the pandemic. Australian-based minerals exploration company Iron Reed Resources Limited has raised 12 million British pounds through an oversubscribed placing of 60 million new ordinary shares at the price of 20 pence a share. The company plans to use the funds in developing its gold and lithium projects in African countries such as Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Chad. This amount of money puts Iron Reed in a strong financial position to focus on the opportunities that stem from the world's need to tilt towards electrification and decarbonization. And now to the CBN exchange rate. Dollar to naira has a buying rate of 379 naira and a selling price of 380 naira. Pounds to naira has a buying rate of 526 naira and a selling price of 527 naira. The euro to naira has a buying rate of 457 naira and a selling price of 458 naira. And finally, the South African rand has a buying rate of 26 naira and a selling price of 26 naira. And that's all we have on Business Report Africa. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles at TOS TV Network. Do also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TOS TV Network. I am Ruwa Panawo. Many thanks for watching. you.